What 90 days of AI implementation looks like inside a real manufacturing operation. Not a vendor pitch, not a projected ROI slide, a real mid-market manufacturer, real implementation, and the real story of what changed operationally, financially, and for the people running the business every day. I'm Dan Pereira. This is AI for Manufacturing, and this is the final episode of the series. We've covered the automation maturity gap in episode 1. We've named the 5 workflows bleeding your margin in episode 2. We built the governance framework in episode 3. Today, we bring everything together with a full implementation story, discovery through deployment through transformation. Let me take you inside it from the beginning. The client is mid-sized manufacturing operator, 45 employees, 3 production lines across 2 facilities. They came to us not because they had a clear AI strategy. They came because they knew something was wrong. The operation fell harder than it should be. The team was stretched and the output wasn't fully reflecting the effort going in. That feeling, that gap between effort and output, is almost always a system problem, not a people problem, not a strategy problem, a system problem. And the only way to find it is discovery. Discovery took 2 weeks. We mapped out every workflow inside every data flow, every handoff point between systems, every place where human conditioning was filling in for integration. That should have existed years ago. We identified 5 workflows consuming 22 hours of skilled labor every single week. Not complex judgment work, mechanical, repetitive, rule-based. Production reporting manually compiled every week from 3 systems, delivering 48 to 72-hour-old data to leadership making daily operational decisions. Supply communication tracked in spreadsheets with no automated escalations when deliveries were late or at risk. Quality control, documentation recorded manually by technician, then entered again into the QMS. 2 touches of the same data, compliance risk built into every manual entry. Inventory exception handling coordinated manually across procurement, production, and supplies, a process taking hours when it should take minutes. Invoice processing touching every transaction when 80% required no human judgment whatsoever. None of those workflows required expertise. They required time. And that time was consuming the capacity of skilled people who should have been focused on the work that actually required their judgment. Definition took 1 week. We documented exactly what each agent would handle, what required human approval, what escalation looks like for every exception type, and what the compliance architecture needed to satisfy their ISO requirements. That definition document became the blueprint for everything that followed, and the reference point when edge cases came up during deployment. Implementation took 6 weeks, 5 connected agents built and deployed in phases. Reporting agent first, because leadership visibility has the highest leverage starting point. Supply communication second, because procurement delays were the most time-dead operational risk. Quality documentation third, because compliance risk was the most significant liability. Inventory exception handling fourth, invoice processing fifth. Each agent deployed with full audit trails, role-based access controls, human approval gates at every high-stake decision point, and failure protocols that flagged exceptions for human review instead of making calls outside defined boundaries. ISO aligned architecture throughout, every deployment decision made with their certification requirements in mind, not retrofitted after the fact. Go live was phased, not a big bang deployment where everything goes live simultaneously and the team is overwhelmed. 1 agent at a time. 2 weeks of parallel running where the agent operated alongside the manual process so the team could validate outputs before fully transitioning, then handoff. 90 days post full deployment, here are the numbers. Operational costs down 35%, not through headcount reduction, through elimination of the inefficiency that was consuming resources across every function simultaneously. 22 hours recovered per week across the team, production reporting delivered automatically every morning with variance flags already highlighted. Leadership making decision on current data for the first time. Supply response time improved 60%. Fewer delays, fewer production gaps, fewer crisis coordination calls. Quality documentation error rate dropped to near zero. Compliance risk eliminated. ISO audit preparation time cut significantly. Invoice processing time down 70%. Finance team shifted from data processing to actual financial analysis. Full cost of implementation recovered within the first 11 weeks of deployment. Week 12, PO ROI territory. But here's the part of the story that doesn't show up in the numbers. In our 90-day review, their operations manager said something that stuck with me. She said for the first time in 3 years, she could see the entire operation clearly. Not through a weekly report that was already outdated before it landed, not through a manual updates from 3 different team numbers. A live, accurate, complete picture of her operation every morning before the day started. That clarity, the shift from managing in the dark to leading with full visibility, is what the metrics can fully capture. It's what changes how the leadership team operates, how they make decisions, how they respond to problems before they become crises, how they show up for their team. That's the real transformation, not the 35% cost reduction, the clarity. This has been AI for Manufacturing. 4 episodes, 1 complete framework for understanding what AI automation looks like inside a mid-market manufacturing operation when it's built right, strategically, operationally, and with the governance foundation that makes every deployment safe and scalable. On May 27, 2026, next Wednesday, I'll be on the panel at WACA West Coast Bash in San Diego. Curiosity to capability, implementing AI in manufacturing. This is exactly the implementation story I will be bringing into that room. The gap between curiosity and capability, what it actually takes to get there, and what changes for a manufacturing operation and a leadership team when they finally do. If you're attending, come find me. Let's continue the conversation in person. Book your free consultation at jxtech.ai. Let's start with discovery. Let's find your invisible leaks, and let's build something that changes how your operation runs.